Karen. You know the name. You've seen the memes, the viral videos, it's everywhere. But behind all the jokes, there's a story that's way more complicated and honestly, way more serious than you might think. So in this explainer, we're going to peel back the layers on the whole Karen phenomenon, from its really surprising origins to its real-world impact. We're starting with this, right out of the gate, because this quote from journalist John W. Fountain, it just cuts right to the heart of it. It immediately makes you realize that for a lot of people, Karen isn't a funny meme. It's about something that could be life or death. So the Karen meme didn't just pop out of thin air. To really get why it has so much power, we have to look back at a pretty dark part of American history. This isn't just about someone being rude to a barista. It's about a pattern of behavior that has a long, violent, and deeply rooted history. And when you look at a timeline like this, you see this chilling and frankly undeniable pattern. From the Tulsa race massacre to the horrific murder of Emmett Till, all the way up to the viral video of Amy Cooper in Central Park, this act of weaponizing a white woman's distress against Black people has been a theme in America for a very, very long time. Yeah, this is not a new thing. As Time magazine points out, this whole idea is an archetype that goes back centuries. The myth that white women needed constant protection from Black men was used to justify just unbelievable racial violence and to keep a system of white supremacy in place. So when people use the Karen label in its most serious sense, it's tapping right into that legacy. Okay, so the behavior has a history. But why the name Karen? How did that specific name become the label for this whole thing? Well, the answer is kind of weird. It's basically what happened when two completely different worlds collided. So on one side, you have this long history in Black culture of using names like Miss Anne or Becky as a shorthand for white women who weaponize their privilege. And then, in a totally different universe, you have stand-up comedy and internet memes, completely separate from that racial critique, making the name Karen a punchline for just any annoying person. And eventually, those two streams just sort of merged. So when these two threads finally intertwined, they created the Karen that we all instantly recognize today. This powerful internet archetype with a very, very specific set of characteristics. The official definition from dictionary.com really nails it. It's that combination of entitlement and using privilege as a weapon. It's not just about being difficult. It's about using your social standing to demand what you want, often in a way that's racist or just demeaning to other people. And of course, beyond the dictionary, you've got the meme itself, right? The stereotypes. The speak to the manager line is the absolute classic. And then there's the infamous haircut. But the stereotype also grew to include other things, like being an anti-vaxxer, which all point back to this one core idea, a totally self-centered worldview that just doesn't care about anyone else. But here's where it gets complicated. As the Karen meme just exploded and went everywhere, its meaning started to get a little fuzzy. And it kicked off this really fierce debate. Is it a valid critique of privilege, or has it just turned into a sexist slur? And this is the real tension right here. On one hand, people argue the term is a totally necessary tool for calling out a dangerous kind of behavior that, for a long time, just went completely unchecked. But on the other hand, critics say its meaning has been watered down, it's been co-opted, and now it's used as a general, often sexist insult to shut down pretty much any woman who speaks up. This comment from Reddit really just captures that frustration perfectly. This user is saying that a term that was created by Black people to critique racism has been taken over and is now being used to put down women for having any standards at all. But there is one more layer to this whole story, and it's a consequence that almost never gets talked about when people are sharing Karen memes. The impact it has on people who are actually named Karen. This quote introduces a word you've probably never heard before, nameism. It basically means prejudice based on someone's name. And as this research points out, for the millions of real women named Karen, the meme has had some truly devastating effects. And this isn't just a guess. To actually measure the harm, a recent academic study went out and surveyed 681 women named Karen to find out what the real-world impact of the meme has been on their lives. The findings? They were pretty stark. For women who are actually named Karen, this is not a joke. They face daily prejudice, harassment, and very real psychological distress. We're talking hypervigilance and even symptoms of PTSD, all because their name became a global insult. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. When a meme gets this big, this powerful, who's responsible for what it does? The story of Karen is a pretty incredible reminder of how fast online culture can change, and how a simple name can transform from a tool for critique to a weapon of misogyny to a source of very real pain.